A good portrait reveals what a person looks like. A great portrait reveals who they really are. In this video, I'm going to share with you why I take environmental portraits and why I think they're one of the best ways to photograph people. You're going to learn how to make these type of portraits and how they will improve your images of people. Hi, my name is Sean Gallagher. I'm a professional photographer and filmmaker. If you're new to my channel, welcome. For the past 20 years, I've been working as a photographer for clients including National Geographic, The Guardian, and the Pulitzer Center. Here on my channel, I want to share with you some of the skills and techniques that I've learned over my career to help you improve your own photography, whether you're a beginner photographer or even an aspiring professional. In this video, I'm going to be discussing what I think is one of the best ways in which to photograph people, by taking environmental portraits. They're one of my favorite ways to make portraits of people. And in this video, I want to share with you 5 tips that you can use too when you're starting out trying to make these type of images of people. Okay, let's get started. First, we need to understand what exactly is an environmental portrait. The key to creating a good environmental portrait is not just to focus on the person within the frame, but it's also to take into consideration the background and surroundings of the person. An environmental portrait places emphasis on other things within the frame, not just the person that you're photographing. These details can reveal things about who the person is, where they live, where they work, and they tell you much more about that person and their story. Let's have a look at a few portraits to make this concept a little bit more clear. In this environmental portrait, the man is stood knee-deep in water in a river in India. The vast expanse of the river behind him gives a clear feeling about the environment where he is. In this image of a woman on the Tibetan plateau, it's all about the beautiful details of her headdress she is wearing, and they hint to the uniqueness of her local culture. This farmer is standing in a forest in southern China where she harvests plants. She's framed next to some of those unique plants that are found only in this particular region. In this last image, a man relaxes on his bed as his pet turtle crawls across the floor nearby. This strange juxtaposition adds intrigue to the image as the viewer questions what might be happening in this scene. So, are you ready to take these type of portraits on your own? If yes, let's go on to the next step so you can learn how to start mastering this type of portraiture. Many portraits that I see taken by amateur photographers are often shot very tight and close to the subject. They're often shot with a very low f number, so that creates this shallow depth of field effect, and you get very little idea about the background or the surroundings of the person. Environmental portraits, on the other hand, give your subject breathing room. They often reveal the surroundings behind the subject so that we can start to learn more about where they live, where they work, and who they are as people. This is a key factor in environmental portraits. So let's have a look at a few examples to show you what I mean. I took this image in India when I was shooting a story about drought conditions in the country. I wanted to give a sense of the dry and degraded land behind the lady, but also the uniqueness of the woman's dress and the difficulty of her work collecting wood. Here, I was acutely aware of the mountain in the background and positioning the man so that I was able to capture him in the foreground along with the peak of the mountain behind him. Giving your subject space allows you to play with other elements within the frame, like in this image where I balanced my central subject of the lady with the trolley on the left and the man on the right. By taking a step back and including this table on which this boy is sitting, it provided extra intrigue to this environmental portrait. it was much more interesting and an effective approach than if I had just concentrated on the boy on his own. To create your own environmental portraits, I suggest you use a wider lens, such as a 35mm. That's my personal favourite, because that perspective allows you much more space around your subject, and you can start to give those hints and clues by including much more of that background with the wider lens. But remember, it's not just about the background, it's also about those little details that you choose to include within the other areas of the frame. And that's what we're going to talk about next. As you're going to be shooting with a wider perspective, it's really important that you think about all the other details within the frame, because they're all going to play into the impact of that portrait. Those other details include the foreground, it includes what the person is wearing, what they might be holding, the composition of the frame, whether there's anything significant in the background or if it's just a plain background. All of these little details can play into telling a story about your subject and give your viewer more information about who they are. In this image taken in southern China, the pattern of the bamboo stacked behind the man is really intriguing. These details reveal more to you about who this man is, what he does, and what his job might be. This photo of a woman in a pet store in Beijing reveals the close connection between the two, as the detail is in the moment. The kiss from the owner reveals affection for her and her pet, and adds this unexpected moment to the portrait. Stacks of brown-coloured metal lie on shelves in this portrait taken in India. We learn the man is a shopkeeper of some kind, and our eyes are drawn around the unorganised collection of goods all around him. Details in this man's flowing hair and the beautiful necklaces around his neck tell us he comes from a traditional culture. There's also the detail of his gaze looking out the window, suggesting a sense of longing or reflection. So when you are making your own environmental portraits of people, pay attention to the details. All these details reveal something about the person, whether it's the position in which you choose to frame your subject, the composition, the lighting, the clothing. All these details tell your viewer something special about that person. Once you've started to make your first environmental portraits, the next step is to find a theme or a connection between the people that you're photographing. It's fine taking single images, but the real power of photography comes when you put images together to tell a story, and environmental portraits are a great way to do that. With environmental portraits, a theme could be something even as simple as the geographical location where you're photographing. You might make portraits of people on one street in a community, or maybe just portraits of people in a certain town or region. Or you could take it one step further and you could start to focus on social issues or environmental issues like I do, and connect the portraits through the issue that you're particularly interested in. In 2015, I made a story about air pollution in Beijing, and I decided to use environmental portraits as a way to communicate this story. To make these images, I would approach people in the street and simply ask them if I could make their portrait. I first explained that I liked the way they looked and maybe complimented them on a detail in their clothing, and then I took anywhere between 1 to 5 minutes with them to take the picture. My aim was to capture the strangeness of these people in these pollution masks with the context of the different modern and traditional backgrounds in Beijing. When you are comfortable and confident about making environmental portraits, it's time to start thinking about what story do you want to tell with your images? What are you trying to tell your viewer about the people you're photographing? Start local. Pick a place near to you and find an issue that you care about. Go to the community, meet people, talk to people, explain what you're doing, and try to communicate to them why you think these portraits will help people understand their community. My final piece of advice for making environmental portraits is to get creative. You don't always have to use the same lens or the same position or the same angle when you're making these portraits. But the key concept to remember is to think about the position of your portrait subject within the context of their surroundings so that they reveal something else about that person. Think about how you can use other elements within the frame to help you form your environmental portraits. Like in this image I took of a farmer in southern China, where I used the leaf in the foreground to frame the main subject. Always pay attention to the details and pattern in the background. What do they reveal about your subject? Is your subject holding something or wearing something that might reveal who they are or what it is that they do for a living? Can you create intrigue in your environmental portraits? Does your portrait make the viewers want to learn more about who the person is and what they are doing in the photo? Discuss ideas with your subject, maybe even show them your images while you're working, and make it a really collaborative process between you and the subject that makes portraits that are unique, imaginative, and have impact. Environmental portraits are one of the best ways in which to photograph people because they can really reveal so much more about the person and the stories that you're interested in photographing. I hope that this video has helped you understand the concept of environmental portraiture and has given you the confidence to be able to go out and start taking them for yourself. If you've made it this far in my video, I'd like to invite you to download my free ebook titled The Camera Doesn't Matter. Within the ebook, I reveal some of the secrets of professional photography and how you can use them as an amateur photographer to improve your images. To get the ebook, all you need to do is visit my website, scroll down, enter your details, and the ebook will be delivered directly to you. When you download the ebook, you'll also get the opportunity to join my online communities on WhatsApp and WeChat for online discussion and feedback about photography. If you're interested in a more personalized approach to your photography through portfolio reviews and mentorship, I also offer this through my website, which you can see via the link below. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have a question, leave it in the comments below. I'll see you in the next video.